actors who really have a deep sense of insecurity are terribly difficult because they'll put up all sorts of bluffs and, look, I don't like this cushion at all. Do you really want me to sit in this chair and so forth and so on? And after a bit, they get their confidence and they're all right. I mean, one of my biggest jobs is to relieve the pressures on an actor. One of the actors I was fondest of was Bill Holden. He had enormous concentration, and at the end of River Kwai, there's a scene where he sees Alec Guinness on the other side of the riverbank with Sesu Hayakawa, the Japanese, and he yells, "Kill him! Kill him!" Kill him! And Alec does nothing. And I said, "Look, Bill, you're going across that river. Really go." And so we came to the take, and he said, "Kill him, kill him." Nothing happened on the other side of the river. And Bill took off, and I jumped beside the camera. Now, I knew what he was going to do, but such was the force of his concentration that he made me jump. That's star stuff. I think with Alec, he is extremely shy. And although he doesn't believe it now, but it is true, his first film was Great Expectations. And he played Herbert Pocket, the pale young gentleman, wonderfully. But he was so nervous that I used to pretend that we were rehearsing, when in fact I was shooting. Forster wrote the book, and a whole lot of movie makers, a lot of friends of mine wanted to make it, and Forster wouldn't let it be filmed because he was attacked, rather, when the book came out, and he thought he didn't trust movie makers, and he thought that they'd either come down on the side of the Indians or on the side of the English. And he wanted it to, the blame, as it were, to be equally distributed. And he didn't trust anyone to do that. I was only saying to somebody this morning, when you do a stage show, after 3 or 4 weeks, you see a complete rehearsal. This person, by the way, had asked me what the film was like. And I said, you see, I won't know until I see it all put together. I've taken something like 1,400 separate shots, and close-ups of a hand writing a name, to close-ups of this actor, that actor, long shots of that mountain, and so forth and so on. And until all those shots are joined together, I won't really know what the film's going to be like. I know how certain performances have turned out, but I won't get the dramatic flow until I see the whole thing put together. I envy stage people for that. It's the story of a girl. We don't show it, but I always imagine her. She was brought up in a vicarage, something like that, you know, very protected. And she leaves England for the first time. That's the beginning of the film, girl buying a ticket. And she goes out to India, and what happens with all sorts of people, it has a curious effect on them. Some hate it, and some love it. I mean, I did know a man who got straight back on the next aeroplane, and I've kept on going back there. Now, this girl is fascinated by it, and she begins to realize, remember this is in the mid-20s, begins to realize the sexuality within herself. And you sort of realize it too, what's happening. And she goes on an expedition with two or three others, and with a young Indian. And she finds him very attractive. And she goes into a cave, and she wants him. And then he comes looking for her. And you see him in the entrance of the cave. And he says, "Miss Quested?" She doesn't answer. "Miss Quested?" And you cut away. And of course you wonder what happened, because she accuses him of rape. In fact, Forster wrote about a place where we were told we shouldn't go because it was a very out-of-control situation there. And the caves are called, the original caves are called the Barabar Caves. Barabar. And our producer, Richard Goodwin, went there and took some pictures. And I imagined by Forster's writing, there were big rock faces. Mm-hmm. And in fact, they were very, very low little hillocks, not very dramatic. And so I didn't want to shoot low little hillocks. And so I went searching for great big rock faces. And of course, having found the rock face, which is very difficult, because always at the bottom of a rock face you find thousands of immovable boulders. We found one, and of course no caves. So we went in and drilled holes. When Forster died, he left the rights to King's College, Cambridge. And they're a very erudite lot of gentlemen up there. And I had the fortune or misfortune to be asked to lunch after they'd read the script. And they asked me all sorts of questions. Why have you done that? Why have you changed this? Why have you changed that? And I thought I was rather bright, because I said, look, I'm going to make a movie which, with luck, will be remembered for 2 or 3 years. There's always the book. And those who are offended by the idea of making a movie of this classic don't have to see it. They just read the book. I can't damage the book. I can only damage myself. So I don't care over much. I mean, I'd like to make a film which, in spirit, is true to the book. But first of all, I want to make a movie.